Around the holidays, people tend to feel a little more generous than usual with their money and with their time.
Yeah, however, volunteer-based organizations want to remind everyone that struggles can happen all year long. And in recent years, they have seen a dramatic decline in people stepping up to help.
And Denver 7's Megan Lopez takes an in-depth look tonight at the decline of volunteerism and what could be behind it.
It's a daily routine people depend on.
We got your 2 hot meals right here.
Every morning, snow or shine, volunteers prepare and deliver food to those who need a little help.
We all know that some of these people are relying on that meal to eat that day. And if it doesn't get there, then there's no meal.
Since the COVID pandemic, that need has only grown. Like a lot of organizations, Volunteers of America is struggling to find people to deliver the meals. And not just for a day or a weekend, but consistently.
We're down about half the volunteers we had pre-pandemic. We don't scale back. It just means that we put more onus on our volunteers and our staff to get those meals out.
The group has done a lot to try to bring in new recruits, but nothing seems to stick.
We put out a huge email blast. We made a video. We did everything. We got about 100 emails from people who said, "We'd love to volunteer." Awesome. Well, of those 100, 34 actually turned in applications. And of those 34, about half of those actually signed on to be volunteers. So that's 15. And in that time, we lost around 15 volunteers.
Volunteers or not, though, the work continues because the need isn't going away.
It really adds up to a challenging position.
We ask a lot of our volunteers.
Over at the Inner Canyon Fire Protection District, between a warming climate and dry forests, the stakes are high.
We're placing them in very challenging and sometimes risky situations.
And this job requires a lot, 200 hours of training before volunteers sign up for their first shift.
People have less time to commit to the volunteer fire service.
Across the country and here at Inner Canyon, fire departments are down about a third of volunteers from 30 years ago. But here's the thing.
Our call volume has nearly doubled over the past 30 years.
The age of volunteers is also going up, but Inner Canyon isn't alone, so it's come up with a potential solution, asking residents to combine with 3 nearby fire districts to form one department.
We would be able to then share the volunteer resources that we do have, as well as any potential paid or career resources.
The downside is a really big fire district, a trade-off to keep these departments staffed.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Meanwhile, police departments like Erie
I want to give you some resources and phone numbers.
rely on volunteers to serve as victims advocates.
It's a comprehensive service. We're providing direct services to people on possibly one of the worst days of their lives.
It requires a background check, 60 hours of training, and a 1-year commitment. It's emotionally draining work.
Sometimes people get to the finish line of academy and say, you know what, this may not be for me.
Valerie Greenfield was hired this year just to try to bring more people in. It's not an easy task, but she knows she has to try.
If it were me, I'd want somebody there just for me, to talk with me, to help me understand who's here, why are they here, what can I do moving forward?
Because even after the police leave, victims have to put their lives back together.
2008 was at the low point of volunteering. Right now we're very close to that same low point.
MSU Associate Professor David Bechtold says no matter the organization, COVID certainly played a role, causing 11% of nonprofits to close their doors while another 65% reduced their services. But he says that spirit of giving hasn't necessarily gone away.
People are more inclined to give money now rather than their time.
Despite the struggle, Bechtold is optimistic about the return of volunteering because it's not just about what people give, but what they get.
It's not all altruistic when you volunteer. You get a tremendous amount of benefit to you.
Volunteering is a commitment. It's a sacrifice. But for those willing to step up, it can also be incredibly fulfilling, no matter how you help.
It's an important component in creating a healthy community. When it is not there, communities suffer.
Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
That is so important. And if you want to get out there and help, there are ways to do it. You can read Megan's entire article on volunteering right now on denver7.com.